Wetlands,
Make people happy wherever you go. I love
I
it.
try my best. Try.
No, I get it. I went home.
What do we got here? Tuesday, March 26th, Wednesday, March 20th.
Doing another presentation, FYI.
On the 8th.
Is this for the special meeting? This is today. Okay, so this is the unofficial, official pre-application process. We don't technically open the meeting. We're here for pre-application. For those in the audience and those watching at home, a pre-application process is not technically an application. What it does, it gives applicants a chance to come in and give an overview of potential projects in town that may be costly to develop and get a flavor for what may work or may not work and get some suggestions. We can't really approve, disapprove, say what we're going to do or not, but we want to have an exchange of ideas to see what may work for everybody's benefit. So The meeting is going to begin. We'll do the official part when we open the real meeting, but we're just going to go right into it, and we're going to start. Linda, we'll just take attendance for right now. We have Commissioner Del Vecchio, Commissioner Silber, Commissioner Cousins, Commissioner Deacon, and myself. All right? Okay, so what we're going to do, I think I told everybody informally, but just for the record, this is a half hour. So there's 2 applications. You each get 12 or 13 minutes, a couple minutes for Q&A. We may interrupt you, so whatever. It's a 15-minute window. So the first one, 2105 and 2125 Reservoir Avenue, LLC, review of text amendment creating a new workforce residence district for multifamily housing. So come on up, your names and addresses for the record, and let's see what you got.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve.
You have to push the button there, Mr. Chair. There you go, thank you.
We good now?
Yeah, good.
All right. Good evening. I'm Stephen Shapiro. This is Jim Amon. I'm here tonight. 20 Virginia Drive, Easton, Connecticut. I am the property owner of 2105 and 2125 Reservoir Avenue in Trumbull. I'm here tonight to talk about workforce housing and a potential text amendment for workforce housing. A lot of people in Connecticut know about, affordable housing and what that is, and obviously the housing shortage in the state. The state has already come out with a program financially to encourage this kind of development. A lot of really no towns currently have any zoning regulations on their books for it. The point being to doing it is it gives town control over where this type of housing could go versus affordable. The developer kind of just puts it wherever it sees fit unless it's safety or environmentally can be denied. And then, as you know, it's the burden of the commission to find a reason to deny it. So I was hoping to put this in an area where it's close to mass transit, bus, the Merit, Route 8. It wouldn't be as dense as a development as an affordable. It wouldn't be like, 4 or 5 stories. I know Trumbull has a few of these by the mall, that are taller. I'm talking 3-story buildings. I got a couple of pictures I could show you of just some renderings of what the architectural style would be. And the workforce units also would count as points towards the town's moratorium to get a moratorium from affordable housing in other parts of town. I'll show you some renderings here of just some examples. Thanks, Jim. 3 stories, nice architecture that, would fit in with the character of the town. And that could even be part of the regulation too, all the architectural requirements. I'm proposing nothing more than 3 stories, like I said, no 3 bedrooms, so there's not a drain on the school system. And, workforce is for, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. How many units did you say?
Well, it's going to depend on the site, but on this particular site, I'm proposing I'll come in with the exact site plan. I'm still
No, I understand,
tweaking it.
yeah. But guess, maybe 25?
Yeah,
15?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so 25-ish, somewhere in that conversation per acre, something like that, would be.
And how many acres do you have there?
I have just under 2 acres on that
Okay,
site.
thank you.
Yep. And workforce is something where, your teachers in town, your cops in town, it gives them a place that's affordable to them to live in town. Cuts down on commuting time and that sort of thing.
You are aware of the moratorium in place?
I am, but to my knowledge, and I'm not sure if I'm completely accurate on this, if someone came in with an 830G proposal, they wouldn't be subject to that moratorium, correct?
Right, they would have to come in and threaten us with 830G to make us have to comply with what they'd like to do instead of complying with our moratorium.
Correct. Is there a way, if this commission was in favor of doing something for workforce, that would be exempt from that moratorium?
No?
Okay.
So what's the next question would be?
I think they extended it for close
50.
to another year.
50. 50's number, that's why he asked what the number was. Limit is 50 on the moratorium.
If it's over 50 units.
I think it's 50 or more, but whatever, 50's the number. Well, I'm not going to argue about the one, but whatever.
Okay, understood. And just another rendering that I did just to show you, it's low dense, good open space, stuff
So
like that. Got-
these are pretty renderings, but they don't mean anything. Are they renderings for the actual design of the possible property that you're going to maybe put those possibly on? Those are pictures of what could possibly be on that property in that shape, size, and dimension of what you're showing us.
Yeah, potentially. I wanted to have a conversation with the commission before I do a full design. I need to know, density.
That part I got.
But-
I'm just trying to understand what those pictures represent. Whether
A
they represent
possibility of
pictures of
what could go.
workforce housing or pictures of what you intend, if possible, down the road to maybe develop on that property. And that's exactly what the size and dimensions and density would be, is those pictures you're showing.
Yes, is the answer, yes. And I brought Jim. Jim was the former Speaker of the House. He's in tune to what's going on in Hartford. He kind of wanted to explain the program a little bit to the commission as well.
Please, excuse my voice. I had a esophageal cancer a couple years ago, so still recovering, but if I sound like the Godfather, I'm really not a bad guy, so. The governor's put $200 million strictly towards workforce housing. It's a big issue in Hartford, I'm sure many of you know. Not just affordable housing, housing in general, landlord issues, rental issues. And it's certainly on the plate in the legislature. So we believe workforce housing is a way to satisfy the communities without really forcing certain housing projects down communities' mouths.
So in your last 7 minutes, right,
Yes, sir.
workforce housing, that's a nice name.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't mean anything to me.
Right.
Tell me what it means. Because we have housing and we have affordable housing. You're now calling something workforce housing. What's the difference between the two that exist with regular housing and affordable housing that you're now calling workforce housing? Is it going to be market rate? Is it going to be affordable?
I'll answer.
What does that mean? You're giving us a new name and we don't know what that means.
I'm not giving you the new name, the legislature is, Mr. Chairman.
So I'm asking you to define what it
Absolutely.
means.
Workforce means be able to get their transit. So the closer to transit, whether it be bus service, train service, walking way to get to their jobs.
Isn't it
The
also,
market rate of the build. What's the market rate going to be for the build?
To answer that with data, affordable is either between 60 and 80% of the area's median income. Workforce is 60 to 120% of the area's median income. So that's the difference between that and affordable. I mean, market rate nowadays, with how crazy the market is, God knows where that relates to the area's median income now with how crazy prices are.
So
but
you can
that's
call
the
it
difference.
workforce housing, and you can be technically at 100 to 120% of the market rate.
Well, of the area's median income, which
Right.
with the current market now, I would almost guarantee you the market rate of housing is way above 120% of the area's median income, unfortunately. But that's the product of no inventory being out there because we don't have enough housing in the state.
Correct.
Okay?
I just have a question. So,
Go
a
ahead.
question. You said no 3 bedrooms. What do you see as the makeup of there? Let's say
It would be a mix of 1 and 2s. I'm talking to a couple other towns in the area too. I'm talking to Stratford Monroe about this. We're drafting a regulation for Stratford too. And, I get it from a town perspective. You do 3 bedrooms, you get kids in a school. Every town school kids, 15 to 20 grand, somewhere in that conversation. It's a tax loss for the town. For towns to have control over where this, kind of middle housing's going and to have it a win for the town, you want it to be a tax positive, which is why I'm not proposing any 3 bedrooms in any town at all for this type of housing. Because it's, a tax loser. And who wants a tax loser in a town? I get it.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. Because
Okay.
you're selling yourself short there. That is not an accurate statement. Because we have high-density developments already in town that are not tax losers. And I have had this discussion with other people that I'm personally not against 3 bedrooms because it's not a 3rd bedroom. It's 2024. We've gone through COVID. Anybody in this room not know somebody who works at home? Anybody in this room not know somebody who has kids that are still with them, plus need office space? So calling them dens or extra rooms, whatever it happens to be, I'm not against that extra room, and I think some of the other commissions are the same way. I'm not telling you to go run off and develop 3 bedrooms. I'm just telling you that the door is not completely closed on that for anything in the future because we haven't in the past, and I've had this same discussion. we have to be practical with 2024 of what the world really needs.
Correct.
I work from home some days, so does my wife, so do people in this room, so does everybody we know. I know some people in this room don't even work in this state anymore, they're so remote, right? So when we have this opportunity, we have to know what we need and what the market needs. So if you're gonna tell us you're gonna build what the market needs, let's have a truthful conversation.
Well, right, but you can also always designate a room in the unit as an office. It wouldn't have a closet per se, right?
Correct.
So you
Correct.
could do something with a home office. That's how you solve that.
Correct,
Right.
correct. That's what happened in some of the other developments. So, any other, go ahead.
I'm trying to understand how the housing property values factor into the area's median income. If the area's median income, say, is $150,000, and your household income is 90, where does the how property values come into that? I'm not sure I follow that.
When I was mentioning property values, I'm just saying if you take the average sale price of a house in a town.
Stop. Look, you don't have enough time to go off subject, okay?
I
don't-
was trying
You
to-
only got
that's-
2
I was
minutes.
trying to answer
Wait,
his
wait, but
question.
no. The income is based on income. It's not based on the value and the sale price of your home. So discussing home prices is just taking up minutes we don't have tonight. I'm not saying it's not a valuable conversation for another day. I'm trying to keep you with being able to give a succinct answer to the medium income average is based on income. It's not based on the price of your home. Mr. Silber is correct. So, anything else besides? You got any questions? Gentlemen?
Did you want to give this to anybody?
No, don't bother.
The amount of questions I have, you won't be able to finish in an hour.
Alright, so maybe what we'll do is we'll talk to staff a little bit, and you'll talk to staff a little bit, and we'll see if we have some more communication outside of this. So the basic gist is you have 2 properties, and you didn't tell us where it is, but I think we know. It's set back, right? It's in, the driveway
I
is in.
told you at the beginning, 2105 and 2125.
Right, but there was no
Reservoir.
picture of that, so in case any other commissioners don't know, there's a driveway on Reservoir, and it sits behind other properties, right?
interior lot, right?
It's an interior lot,
Well, I have
correct?
2 properties. One fronts the road, and then there's an interior lot behind the house that fronts the road. I have both properties.
Right, okay.
It's about 4 parcels up on Reservoir from Old Town Road on your left-hand side if you're heading north towards Trumbull Center. It's adjacent to a industrial, landscaping type yard, and then it sits adjacent to some very long pieces of property that front Old Town Road that have these very long backyards.
Okay. All right. I think we're good for today.
Thank you
and
for
we'll
your
get,
time.
we're gonna put some more questions together, I would think, from, especially with what these guys have.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Yep, and if you have any packages of whatever you have preliminary, that you can show those pictures to and share them with Rob, so he has those in PDF form, so he could send them out to us or whatever, along with any other Q and As. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Julie, you want me to show you a text so you have?
Chairman, so ready?
So much.
Commission, I'll be quick.
Microphone.
Ray Rizzio, Office 10 Sasko Hill Road, Fairfield, Connecticut. Happy to be before you tonight. I'm here with
Announce this is number 2. This is number 2 for the record, 670 Daniels Farm Road, Plasko's Farm, proposed farm accessory entertainment use of mini golf.
Yeah. So as you know, you all know Plasko's Farm. This commission has been great as far as, we've created a creamery there, the cafe. It's done all the Plaskos who've operated a farm there since 1960, have done all they could to try and keep this 7 acres, and with the intent of keeping it a farm and a farm-like look and something that mixes well in a residential area. This commission, which we really appreciate, looked to extend the definition of a farm to include recreational uses as part of an accessory use for a farm. If you go anywhere, North Fork of Long Island, you go Southampton, you go the Vine Vineyards, you'll see all these farms, in order to generate income, have corn mazes, they have playgrounds, they have everything they can to try and keep these properties preserved. Mr. Plasko has had the opportunity and felt like he's, it's been between the creamery and the corn maze. The corn maze season is very short, but trying to create additional interest in the property, thought that a miniature golf course, which would be a recreational facility, an entertainment facility, would be something that would go really well in this location. Probably takes about half an acre to, what does it take?
Half an acre,
It takes a half an acre of the property, and we would like to basically add that along to our entertainment type of our,
This
process.
picture is the whole property?
yes, so let me take you through the property.
So it's the whole thing?
Not
Not the whole thing, it's
Not
it's
entirely.
up to the top to the corner.
The what?
It goes all the way down, it's probably another 4 acres that go along Country Club Road. Deep.
No, I meant at least depth-wise. This way.
No. So, yeah, this is a
That's not
frontage.
the one.
Yeah, no, I mean width. Not width, whatever. I want this, I want to make sure this counts.
The width really
At the
basically
bottom.
starts, you see where the trees are over here? That would be what we call southern border, where just to the opposite end of this driveway. So this house is on the property, as you know that's on the street. And you got the cafe, the creamery, you have a few barns, you have the pens for the animals, then you have the corn maze that goes back about 4 acres.
4 acres, yeah.
4 acres. And we would like to take half acre of that and put it into a mini golf, consistent with farm-like activities, something that would be very entertaining, would be low level, low to the ground. I have pictures of that for you, is what I handed out. This is it in color. Its color helps. This is what it basically would look like. Now, in talking with staff, our original plan is to take an acre away from the corn maze, the top of the corn maze, and in talking to staff, there were some general concerns about how that would affect Country Club Road and the single property, the single family homes there and on either side. Mr. Plasko and I had discussions today, and we looked at some, possibly if the commission would consider that we believe that there would be maybe the ability to put it more where it could be buffered by both the cafe and the barns, and the entrance would be coming off Daniels Farm Road, with the focus being off of Daniels Farm Road. And then this way, the possibility would either be.
Say that again.
Here.
Say that again.
So.
And hold it up straight for
Right
us to
now,
see.
what we're looking, what we originally submitted would be thinking to put in this half acre here, at the top of the cornfield, behind, where the animals are in the barns, along, and this is Country Club, to put a mini golf here, landscape it, offer it, and have it here. This would be the area where you'd come in and buy your tickets and everything else. And we think it's a great use for a family environment, between a corn maze, a cafe, a creamery. Get your kids in the summer would have something where they could get ice cream, go play golf. I mean, it's the kind of thing that just reeks of family, and the type of things that we want to keep these properties like in Trumbull. Concerns had been traffic and use and vision on Country Club Road. Mr. Plasko and I talked today about possibly being able to fit this in an area behind. So there's a barn here, there's the creamery here. Keep in mind, there's no buildings on these, so that, or there might be some huts, something that's
Yeah,
little barns that go
small structure,
maybe 8 feet high, but there's nothing that would protrude, so that basically we could buffer the entire mini golf from Country Club Road. We could put our parking off of Daniels Farm Road. It would be a great interaction between the creamery and the mini golf, and then not have any impact on houses here, houses across from Country Club Road.
These are Strobel.
Keep in mind, this is very, huh?
I'm sorry, that's Strobel on the bottom of those houses?
This is Daniels Farm Road.
You know, I know, on the bottom.
This is Country Club Road.
No, there's no house, there's another property.
No.
There's other
So what you have
properties.
is, you have this
What I'm
huge,
asking you is those two houses come off Strobel, right, on the bottom?
no, this one.
Strobel's way down, there's other
Daniels
houses.
Farm, and this one comes off maybe Park, there's another road down here, I forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
So the thought of being.
What are
this
those
large-
structures are on Plasko's property, right?
All these structures are in plastic.
What about on the bottom of your?
This is the house on Daniels Farm Road,
Right, that's what I asked at the beginning, was this whole drawing of the farm?
and I pointed from here. Basically, along this.
So you didn't delineate on this what your property line is?
The lower right, this one, that does not belong to us.
But where's it, is this, what street is it on?
Street that would be?
It's off of Short, yeah, Mayflower. Yeah, Mayflower, I think Mayflower, yeah.
So,
It's too,
one of
it's
the
way
things
up
we
past
had
Daniels.
looking at this was, how do we keep, in thinking possibly, when we showed this to staff's big concerns was Country Club Road. Single families, turning it and bringing the business further down. And in looking at the property today, walking the property today, we believe there's the possibility to take this mini golf and fit it in here. Basically make it self-contained. Everybody on Country Club Road would be buffered by the existing buildings, because keep in mind, we're not gonna build any buildings. The grades are also higher here, and the entrance would be coming off Daniels Farm Road, and then there's a large wooded area between two houses with no road access.
I think,
All that, we believe, would give us the ability to have a really good use that would be in harmony with the operation of the property, be family-oriented, not cause any, let's not call it commercial, but any kind of entertainment use going down this, what is primarily a single-family road, which is Country Club Road, and
let's,
yet provide buffering from all the single families.
yeah, let's take a couple minutes from, I want to hear from the
My minutes
commissioners.
or your
No, I
minutes?
want to take, yeah, your minutes. So, because there are minutes.
Yeah.
So, I want to hear from the commissioners because it's what you described, but the other part of quality of life for that neighborhood.
Correct.
You know, it's a farm that sells ice cream is different than a farm that's also an amusement park, right? So it's a huge change to the character of the neighborhood. That's one of the discussions that came up. So I want to go around the room and hear what the commissioners have to say, because that's one of the reasons that you're here, right? So let's start on this side. Mr. Cousins? Nothing. Mr. Deacon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Few questions, nothing crazy. What seasons, because obviously the corn maze is only in harvest season. What seasons
So
are we
it probably
planning on
would
this?
run from, I'm gonna guess we're gonna talk about from April to October.
April to November, weather permitting.
Okay, and are you going to also have the corn maze offset, or is the corn maze going to
Corn maze
close?
will remain. Corn
Okay.
maze is, if, two things, we're either gonna shrink the corn maze by a half an acre. Corn maze is approximately 4 acres, we could shrink it by a half an acre. Or if we can shift the property, we keep the corn maze basically in its existing location.
Okay,
The answer is because we talked about, hearing from staff and kind of hearing concerns. That's why we walked and said, maybe this spot, if we could contain it within the existing farm and not move into the maze, and it would be bordered by buildings, woods, and Daniels Farm Road. And also it would be the best way to self-contain this.
Not that there's a requirement, but has there been any pulse of the neighborhood? Any pulse of the
There was no
neighbors
reason-
yet?
We wanted to make sure that the commission was comfortable or would like to see us move forward with this idea. We understand you're not giving us any approval, you're not giving us any go-ahead, it would all be subject to public input and output. My gut instinct, and we talked about it today, would be if you thought this was an idea that you would consider, that we would go meet with the neighbors and tell them exactly what we're thinking. Look, I've been in town for doing this for 30 years. Preserving these large parcels has been a real concern. You know, the town can't buy every Hardy Lane, the town can't buy every parcel over 5 acres, but there needs to be an economic benefit to these property owners in keeping it in this type of condition. And running a corn maze, running a farm, keeping some animals to keep everything in its historic Trumbull state, you need a special person to do that. The Plaskos would like to keep that way. If you can't help support the property with different types of income, you know, you're left with other types of
Well, we
development.
opened that up last month with, you can sell anything that a farm has. We took all the other restrictions off, so that's all up. Were you done?
last thing. Parking, I'm assuming parking would be in the existing parking area?
We would expand the parking area.
Okay.
So the idea was we'd come to you, we would take a look at the traffic, the impact. Remember, it's 18 holes of mini golf, we can get no more than 60 or 70 players,
76 players.
76 players on the course at one time. They're going to
76.
be families. It's not going to be 76 cars. It's going to be 2 to 4 people per car coming to play. And we're going to make sure that we can show to you with a site plan, parking that we believe can support this.
Is there residents on this farm? Or it's only a working?
We
Does
have-
anybody live
We
there?
have a,
There's a home
There's a
that's
home on the
not
back.
occupied at the moment. It was my parents, both parents are deceased. So
on Daniels Farm Road.
it is a home though, yes.
So it's one of these houses? It's this house?
This house here, the one
Off
up.
Daniel's Farm, yeah. Yeah, and we own that.
They own it. So they control
Oh.
from basically where the D is in road to the corner, and then down a total of 7 acres. We understand, we hear the commission. You want to see these properties supported.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out a way to make it work.
So I had a question about the parking also, and I think, obviously it's a further conversation if this goes further, but you talked about possibly access off Daniels Farm Road and the in and out there. My concern also is, I understand what you're saying about 76 players and its families, but in the fall, it's already packed there. So the parking and the people along the street, there's already a lot going on. So that's a concern. And the other thing is, what do you anticipate would be the hours of operation?
Well, we would like to probably, depending on the weekend, it's all market-driven, but I would think that we'd like to have into the early evening, and then starting, at a morning time of maybe, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
That's the
They would
target.
operate, the Plaskos will operate this themselves.
Yes.
And we could also talk about confluence of use. So there's the ability that the two uses don't overlap. In other words, you don't have the corn maze, the creamery, and the mini golf all going at once.
Gotcha.
But you have the ability, the creamery's great. The cafe's been great if you've been into it. It's the kind of thing that really, to me,
Yeah,
helps.
you couldn't do that. Not if you want this to go into late November.
well, that's what I'm saying.
When's harvest of the corn?
We would,
When do you harvest the corn?
May stays up until the end of October. First week in November it gets cut.
So you
so
got,
we can work schedules so that they're compatible. That I don't think being an issue. Meaning, you don't have them both going full-blown steam at the same time. Look, you go anywhere and mini golf ends as soon as it gets cold. It's one thing on a nice night, people go out there.
I don't know how you're gonna do that. I don't necessarily agree that that's doable, because it kind of defeats the purpose of added income. You're just switching incomes at that point.
Well, no, you
And-
remember you're taking the corn maze season is a very short window. And that is the only income generated from the property other than some of the farming. So now what we're trying to do is something that can take you from April, May into the May season. So now you have the ability to have this property.
And if it happens and it's working, there's no way they're gonna turn it off.
Well, you do have the ability, Chairman, of having conditions on approvals.
And just to add.
Any more questions?
Yes, I do. And so I think the reason I asked about the hours of operation is because if it's open, into the evening, there's, and again, this is a further conversation, but what are the lights? How is it lit? And I know that's on this, but what does it look like to the neighbors over on Country Club and the height of it? And, so kind of, what does it look like a visual from the people around it versus what you're showing
All
us here
that we
would
would
be a
present to you in
concern.
a special permit application where we would show that there be no light trespass, that downward, shaded lights, things like that.
They're all low bleed.
Yeah.
That would be my concerns.
Which would also help if we move it from what originally thought of as an open area
Yeah.
to behind buildings that are 20 feet.
But you'd still have two homes that's now a greater impact.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. So, just a very top line kind of a thing. This might be the most dramatic intervention in Trumbull zoning that I've ever heard of in all the years I've lived here, in the sense that you want to put a commercial use, and what is effectively an arcade, water slide, whatever, in what is, one of the most purely residential. And I understand the farm is not quite residential, but it's, the character of the neighborhood. So that's one point. So it's hard for me to envision how that synergizes. And speaking of synergy, how does a mini golf operation synergize with an a farm? I mean, I'm struggling with that. And then finally, on a practical level, just building on what Karen said, wouldn't it make sense to just do it on weekends, or would you be doing it during the week? And because the traffic during the week is really tough.
Well, it is during school time.
Yeah.
It's all different times of which the people who are using Daniels Farm Road at peak times for school and stuff like that, and those are the people who are typically going to be using the mini golf, which would be families. So during the people that would be using the mini golf are going to school when the schools are busy and when Daniels Farm Road.
That's done. That's, anything?
And the commuters up and down Daniels Farm.
And the other thing is like 76 people at one time. That's more than that's the volume is like a lot more than I would have anticipated. So
Well, it's 4 people.
That's max capacity.
Yeah.
That's not going to be all the time. That's max capacity, and I doubt highly we're going to be at max capacity all the time. That's not realistic.
I'm just saying, the max you could get is a foursome per hole. That's how you get, so you.
Understood.
So you have 72 plus
Got
a
it.
foursome ready to go.
And are
Any more
the
questions?
no, I mean, I'll just make a snide remark. It's like if you're at the Tashville golf course, there's always people, playing into your hole when you're on the green. So I'm just
You
joking.
can't do that in
Any
Minnetonka.
questions?
So I appreciate the need to diversify, revenue to keep the farm a farm. But my concern with your proposal to relocate it deeper into the property is, if I'm not mistaken, that's where pumpkins are sold in the fall, things like that. So at what point, and we discussed this last time, at what point is it less of a farm and more of, an entertainment area? And would that take away from its ability to?
We still would just relocate or accommodate. There's no desire to get rid of that end of the operation. It would just, this came about when I got all the concerns from staff about impacts here on the neighboring properties. Mr. Plasko and I walked the property.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. We're out of time. You're going to relocate the pumpkins is his answer.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, no, we would keep that in.
Next. That's it. Rich?
Thank you.
Shuts everybody else off?
One final remark. We've seen reports of middle school students roaming the area. Certainly, some type of functional way to restrict youth from going onto an area with balls and large
I'm sure that'll
sticks
We
be.
actually.
should be considered. And it should be considered seriously. I mean, I'm not making a joke about this.
There will be
It's-
age restrictions for that.
Yeah, and one of the concerns that we talked about in relocating would be by having it more contained within the buildings, buffered by the buildings and everything else, it will not be, will be a better area to contain it should we move it to the other side of where the barns are.
All right, so I don't want to synopsize and speak for everybody, but somebody put me up here. So I'll tell you, the changes that you're offering show that you were listening to at least some of the feedback when it initially came up. Is that enough to get it across the finish line? I don't hear that yet, but it probably all will result or come to fruition when we see some type of final plan and whatever restrictions can or can't. And, if the neighbors show up with pitchforks and torches, that's going to be an issue, right? If they don't, and everybody's happy and it's only the commissioner that has questions, that's a different story. So you have salesmanship to do to your neighbors as well as everybody else between now and here, because as Commissioner Silver said, you could put up a department store and sell underwear and say the money's going to the farm, right? Because we said an accessory use that supports a farm. This is an accessory use that would support the farm, but it's an amusement park. And it's going to change the character of the neighborhood in some shape or fashion. Changing the location, making it more interior, that helps. Whatever fencing and lighting, that's going to help. Parking accommodations are going to help. But all that being said, there are some speed bumps in the way. Whether we're getting over them, well, time will tell. I don't want to send anybody over here with a handshake and a smile, because that's not where we're at. All right?
Got it?
Understood.
Good. All right.
We think we're working toward addressing your concerns.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice night.
Thank you. See you in a little bit.
Yep. All right, we're gonna take 2 minutes, then we'll start the meeting. We're already late. this
Yes, we're ready to roll.
At this time, we are going to open the regular meeting of the Trumbull Planning and Zoning Commission for Wednesday, March 20th. All please rise. So. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
America.
Okay, Linda, roll call. Cousins, Deacon. Young gentleman in the back is here with a long name. Karen's here. Mr. Silver's here, and I'm here. We're all good. All right, public hearing. Point of order. We are going to go out of order, and I am going to call application numbers 2 and 3 together to come to the podium first. Zone change 900 White Plains Road and 900 White Plains Road, file 2407 and file 2408.
Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Raymond Rizzio, and I'm representing Trumbull Center LLC with regard to applications number 2 and 3. And we would like to move those items to the April agenda, which I believe is April 24th. We have a bunch of questions that have come up from staff. We want to address them, get them to staff, get all the appropriate things so that it's not a last-minute fire drill, and we will
Right.
have those ready for you early. With that, I
Sounds like a good
respectfully
idea.
request you defer this matter to the April 24th agenda.
I'll take a motion to continue. Ms. Delvecchio, seconded. Mr. Silver. Any questions? No? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you for coming. Okay. Anybody who was here for those 2 applications, they're now going to be heard next month. So we'll go back on to the regular agenda, which is number 140 Oakview Drive. Applicant Cooperative Educational Services requesting a site plan modification to remove 32 parking spaces for a playground and basketball court in an IL2 zone pursuant to Article 2, Section 4.3 and Article 15 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations, file 2406. Name and address for the record if you're here.
My name is Peggy Sullivan. I'm with CES. I'm the Director of Finance and Operations, and my address is actually in Reading, 166 Gallows Hill Road.
Great. So now you can just stop there. We make it easy. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the applicant is going for a site plan modification to allow for a playground and basketball court within the IL2 zone. This applicant, 40 Oakview Drive, is the location of Cooperative Education Services. They're requesting to remove 32 parking spaces. They will have 244 remaining parking spaces. 180 are for staff, and then we'll have 64 spaces left for other vehicle use. I did speak to the engineer previously, and I asked him the question as to why this playground is in the middle of the parking lot. And I said, well, why can't you move it closer to Lindeman Drive? Because there's a grass area over there. And he gave me a few reasons why, and I believe Ms. Sullivan could probably add to that as well too. But one of the main ones was the bus routes. The bus routes go on the outer edge of the parking lot to pick up and drop off the children. So putting it on those edges may be of concern. And I believe that the entrance to the playground is directly in the main doorway, and you can access it through the side doorway too. So there's sidewalk connections that lead to that location. I did ask him about the safety perimeters as well too. It looks like there's a large retaining wall due to the topography. There has to be a wall there. There's fencing there as well too. So there's a lot of safety measures put in place as well too.
All right, so a couple questions before we get to the applicant. It's allowed in the zone.
Correct.
There's enough parking beyond what they're required once they make this change if it's passed, correct? And it meets all the safety requirements from the town staff and engineering review. There's
Correct.
no amendments required for any further safety. They've covered that all.
Correct.
Good. Is there anything you'd like to add?
The only thing I wanted to add to that, Rob talked about the school buses coming in on that side. We also have the loading dock on that side of the building.
Okay.
So there will be trucks coming and going over there, and we're trying to keep the students away from that area.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay?
Commissioner Cousins, Commissioner Deacon, Ms. Delvecchio, Mr. Cariglian. No? Mr. Silver.
Sounds good.
Is there anybody here from the public to speak for or against this application? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to close. Mr. Silver, seconded by Mr. Deacon. I'll take a motion to approve. Ms. Delvecchio, seconded by Mr. Cousins. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. Next, 891 White Plains Road and 315 Reservoir Avenue. Applicant Transition Services of Fairfield County LLC is requesting a special permit site plan for an adaptive reuse of the Nichols Library Building in a Residence A zone pursuant to Article 2, Section 6, and Article 15 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations, file 2409.
Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Raymond Rizzio. I have an office at 10 Sasko Hill Road, Fairfield, Connecticut. Happy to be before you tonight representing Transition CT with regard to this adaptive reuse application on the corner of Reservoir Avenue
Good.
and White Plains Road.
Stop right there. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the applicant is looking to utilize the adaptive reuse regulation, Article 2, Section 6 of the zoning regulations. As you know, this is the Nichols Library on the corner of White Plains Road and Reservoir Road. This is definitely considered a historic structure, as this is the only regulation that would allow the use, and I believe that this regulation almost fits exactly what they're looking to use this structure for. The individuals who will be using the facility is the community service facility offering transitioned use services and day programs to students and young adults with developmental disabilities. Their operation is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're going to be utilizing at least 3 to 5 vehicles in the parking lot, there's a very large parking lot in that area. The building is only around 2,745 square feet. So if you go through the regulations, if you go to section 6.2, number 1 has pre-existing non-conforming uses and historically significant structures. So this is definitely, like I stated, a historic significant structure. If you look at section 6.3, the renovation, 6.3A, the applicant may not destroy anything of architectural features, which I believe they will not. There's no expansion of the use. Section B talks about landscaping where allowed. There isn't really any location for landscaping. There's already a large tree buffer around the area. Number C, no negative impact to the neighbors. This is very much separated from the other neighboring properties. It's up on a large mound, even away from the church and the daycare facility, so it's definitely on its own. There is a lot of parking, section D, which it talks about. E, and it talks about the same intensity as the previous office use. So I believe the use there was office.
Correct.
The use is staying the same. I would just ask the applicant to agree to a condition to abide by the standards of section 6.3, which I just stated, if this application is approved. I know there was some discussion with the fire marshal's office in terms of ADA compliance. I would just ask, and I know that with the individuals that are going there, that they meet the ADA standards for sidewalks and for ramps and such, but that they keep the historic structure of it as well too.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm all set. Thank
Good.
you.
So, Attorney Rizzio, I'm just going to re-explain the benefit of the staff report going first. It allows you to not have to repeat anything he already said. So do you have anything to add to what he already said?
Well, Chairman, and nicely, I will very quickly set a record, which I think is important, as your town attorney will talk to. We would like to adapt all the staff's presentations, staff's presentation and comments be incorporated into our presentation, so that I would think it'd be in support of our approval. This is an application near and dear to my heart. I have an autistic grandchild, and something like this is something that's very much a pressing issue in town. There's a great demand and a need for this for items like this, situations like this. We basically Transitions CT currently has a similar facility operated at 169 Monroe Turnpike in Monroe. It's that just as you go into Monroe, it's a house with a stone front that you'll see along the left-hand side along the northern portion. They also have one at 200 Center Road in Easton. This will serve a lot of Trumbull students. Basically, we have up to 15 children or young adults, basically, typically 18 to 25. That will provide vocational and educational opportunities for these young adults. We will have a staff of about 5, so a total of about 20 people. We think this is an excellent location for it. It meets the adaptive reuse. Building was built in 1923. The building was accepted by the Historic Commission in 1966, so it satisfies your adaptive reuse requirements. There is a tremendous amount of parking. What's nice about this, the use will be very compatible with the church. The church, basically, as you know, predominantly operates on weekends, and except for some funerals or services that are done. This will be a 9 to 3 operation, Monday through Friday. None of our students drive. We have 5 staff. The students are either dropped off or picked up. And if you know the site, I can show you the pictures. There's an area we pick up and drop off literally right in front of the building. It's almost a separate, it used to be an old road that went right in front of the building, basically, which is right here. You stop, there's a drop-off area where a van could stop, drop off, or parents could stop and drop off people. And there's, anybody who's driven by that corner knows that during the week, that parking lot can accommodate certainly a lot more than 15 students and 5 staff. Very important, the use is, like I said, previously was an office there. This is once again, a pre-existing non-conforming use. It's in the A zone. It abuts the White Plains Road, commercial corridor, village corridor, where you have other where you have offices and professional offices and things like that. So this is very much consistent with what you're looking to do with adaptive reuse. You're keeping every historical character of the building. None of the outside will be changed. The interior will pretty much remain intact. It's the old Nichols Library. It's worth preserving, and you couldn't figure a better educational, social use to go into a library than this use.
Sounds good.
We believe it satisfies all the requirements of Section 6.2 and 6.3, and would respectfully request this commission grant this application. It's just a great thing for the town of Trumbull and a great use of a building that really has, its functional use as a library is really not, doesn't work in 2024, but to put an educational use in what is intended to be an educational building, I think is a tremendous asset for the town.
Commissioner Silver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it's not. The use now is sort of similar, isn't it? There's a Montessori, I think, and
There's
some
school,
other.
yeah, but this is a little different.
Yeah, but it's clearly not a library. It hasn't been in decades, right?
no.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good use of the property.
I also wanted to I did submit, basically, if you have any questions about CT transition CT, basically tells you all the types of programs they have. I won't go through them all. I don't think you want me to read them, Chairman, if that'd be correct.
We're good.
And there's also a petition of over 50 signatures from local residents who have signed supporting this application.
Got it.
First time in one of my applications.
Commissioner
I don't see
Delvecchio.
anybody opposing.
Just a comment, I remember when it was a library, and I'm glad that it will still stay as the structure, but be put to a good use, so.
Great. Commissioner Kariglian. Commissioner Cousins. Commissioner Deacon. I'll just say that I think it's a nice thing to be able to see a modern use for a historical building that meets all our criteria, which is a good thing. Is there anybody here from the audience to speak for or against this application? Nope. Okay. Hearing none. All set. I'll take a motion to close. Mr. Deacon. Seconded. Commissioner Delvecchio. Any further discussions? No? I'll take a motion to approve. We did close. We did, and that was unanimous, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, motion to approve, Ms. Delvecchio and Mr. Deacon, second. Any further discussion on the motion
One
itself?
quick point, if I probably wasn't listening, the landscaping on the exterior, especially, nothing,
It's
no
kinda
change?
closed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all right. No discussion? We're good? All right, so, no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you
Folks,
for
thank you for your
keeping
time.
Trumbull historic and improving. Have a lovely evening. You're welcome. Regular meeting, planners report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're looking to do another Zoom POCD meeting next Tuesday on March 26th at 7 p.m. Please let Linda know if you're available or you're not available.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Zoom meeting, and it'll be at 7, not 7:30.
Yep.
Because
Just-
it's Zoom.
Yes. Yes. So just be prepared to, I'm going to be sending out the goals again. We revised them with staff. We've been meeting with a consultant a couple times a week now because we really need to get this thing
Good.
moving a little faster.
All right, so everybody got those questions last time. If you have any inputs, you want to get them to staff ahead of time before the meeting, then they can talk about them at the meeting if you do.
Yeah.
All right? So that's next Tuesday. And everybody, please remember that the regular April meeting was canceled. It's moved, but we can't move a regular meeting, so it technically has to be canceled, and there's a special meeting on April 24th, which will be the normal business we would do in April, but that's how it legally has to work. All right? Okay. That being said, acceptance of minutes, February's 21 Planning and Zoning regular meeting. Anybody read them, want to make a motion? You weren't there, so you can recuse yourself. Ms. Delvecchio makes a motion. Yeah. Mr. Sober seconds. All right, all in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rich abstains, he wasn't there. Acceptance of the meeting from a February 27th special meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion to approve.
Right, Deacon, second. Mr. Sober. All right. All in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unanimous. Okay. I think we're done. An hour, that's a long meeting for us. All right, motion to close. Mr. Deacon, second. Ms. Delvecchio, all in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Aye.
Have a lovely weekend, everybody.
Everything seems to be in order.